What are you doing, Andy?
I'm getting healthier snacks for the shoe shine stand. Chris is a food genius. Did you know that the food you eat becomes energy? Yeah. Boom, that's spaghetti. Nachos. It's a cookie.
That's my husband. That's my husband.
This is so good. All right, so did you know that the food that you eat becomes energy? And it becomes energy in a unit of measure that we can actually calculate, and it's called a calorie. And we're going to dig into those a little bit here and how they're different from metabolism. Should you be counting your calories? Does it fit your macros? Should you focus on food type, portion size? You know, what the heck is going on here? So we want to get pretty clear with this first stage of calorie, and Tori and I are going to sit and talk about this. So sit back, and we're going to give you a little bit more in-depth lesson than Andy Dwyer then, but conceptually he did perfect. So what's a calorie?
Well, a calorie is a unit of measurement. So in a scientific lab, what they do is they light like a Cheeto or a bagel or something, and it's the energy it takes to raise water, I believe like 1 degree Celsius.
Yeah.
And so it's a pain, something like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Celsius. I'm pretty sure it's not Fahrenheit.
Well, Fahrenheit's like, it's more like the American, and Celsius is like the world thing, because, you know, America.
Because we have to be different. Can't just,
yeah. We have to be difficult. But yeah, and then calories are in your food. It's what gives you energy to go hiya, or just to live. Like when you're sleeping, you're still expending calories. You're expending calories all the time.
Yeah, it's the unit of measure. Like we have to, like, it doesn't start with the calorie end, it's the calories on the back end. And so there's a lot of different ways to look at this. You jump on the internet and you're going to find you just have to fit your macros. And what your macros are your macronutrients. There's only certain foods are micronutrients and certain foods are more macronutrient based. So macronutrients are your protein, your fat, and your carbohydrates. That's where you're going to get your calories from. And it doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. But at the same time, you know, a few years ago, it was fairly popular. The Reese's Peanut Butter Cup diet was fairly popular. And I actually ran into a girl who used this, and she couldn't understand why in 2 weeks' time she lost 12 pounds doing the Reese's Peanut Butter Cup diet. And so now the question becomes, does it fit your macros, and should you do it? Should you just sit around and eat nothing but M&Ms all day? And if it fits your macros, and would you even want to? What do you think?
That sounds awful. Face. Like, I love peanut butter and chocolate, and they're even better together. But like, I'd be so hungry just eating. Like, all right, well, I'm gonna have my little dinner here.
It get old, right? Let me have breakfast. Let me have some peanut butter cups for breakfast, and then lunch, and then dinner. I think you just feel like crap all the time. But but from the standpoint of calories, though, why did she lose weight?
Because she was taking in less calories than she was expending.
So it does work on some level.
Yes, on some level it does work. There was like an Instagram post you sent me like a couple of weeks ago, and then this man, it was from like, I don't know, 1950, 1960, and basically what he did is he didn't really eat for a year. And
right.
Oh yeah, I lost a bunch of weight. Like, no duh, you lost a bunch of weight. You didn't eat.
Yeah, it's totally possible. I mean, and it's accurate. Humans are basically camels. We can go for extremely long periods of time without eating. We're not going to go for extremely long periods of time without water, though, because we sweat so much. We're the greatest thermoregulators on Earth. There's only a few things that we do that are better than the rest of the animal kingdom. We sweat and we have big brains. So we need a lot of water because we're a tropical animal. We all came from the southern tip of Africa, right? But yeah, we're all camels, and you're storing protein in your muscles. Your muscles are just protein storage, and your fat, right? That's just storage of energy that you can tap into later. And if you weren't to eat for a very long period of time, you'd eventually tap into those. But you can't be sure of which type of tissue you're burning if you just starve yourself, or if you go on an extreme diet like this peanut butter cup diet where it did fit her macros.
It did, but then like if you think about it, you're not getting any fruits and vegetables, you're not getting micronutrients, and so like your bodily processes are gonna take a big hit.
Yeah, huge hit.
Like, you're gonna be more
irritable. It doesn't take much. It seems to be that raising IQ is extremely difficult. But it seems to be that lowering IQ is very easy. Eat like crap, don't sleep, and stop exercising, and you can basically cause yourself to drop multiple IQ points. It doesn't take much.
Plain and simple, eat like crap, feel like crap. Like we've all had like that greasy meal, like for me it's McDonald's. That's my, I can't. Like I eat McDonald's and like a couple of hours later I just feel like crap. Like sure, it tastes good, but oh man.
Yeah, and there is a certain amount of like, does it fit your macro? Like this gets complicated, but I don't think it really has to be. And I think it can get fairly clear because people are actually different. Like Tori's probably not gonna be able to eat as many calories as an Adam on any given day and not gain weight, right? So if Tori starts eating, like if we switch and I start eating as much food as she eats, I'm gonna shrink. And if she starts eating as much food as I eat, she's going to get bigger, right? Because we have different metabolic processes. So I think part of the confusion with the calorie thing is like, what is the difference between a calorie and your metabolism? Because they're both a form of measurement. Metabolism is more about consumption of the calorie, and the calorie is more about the actual energy unit of energy involved. So that can, I hope that simplified and clarified those.
Right. And then, so like both are important, but should we still count them? Like you go online and you can Google like calorie counters and there's like X amount there's like crap ton, but does it really matter if you count them or not?
Yeah, and is there a simpler way? So does counting your calories work for some people? Yes. However, it is an extremely labor intensive, annoying task, and it's off. Like if you read food labels, what'd you say?
It's gonna be off 20%.
And that's plus or minus. That's not off by 20%. That's like, do the math there. That's 40%. That's almost half. So if you're eating something that those little 100 calorie packs, they could be 140 calories. Or no, they could be 120, or they could be 80. My bad. But they could be off by half. So it's a great deal of miscalculation to just think, oh, if I'm following my macros exactly, I'm always going to lose weight.
Right, and going in with the metabolism part, just because it says like 100 calories doesn't mean you actually absorb the 100 calories.
Yeah, totally. So think if you ate, this is kind of gross, but if you ate a bunch of broccoli and peanuts and other fibrous foods, and are you going to absorb 100% of the calories that would come out of that if we were to put that over a Bunsen burner and actually calculate how much calories in that broccoli or that peanut?
Nope, and most of it doesn't take into account that it takes energy to digest stuff.
Yeah,
so the
true.
Fiber and like protein and fat, it's going to take more energy to digest those than carbs.
Yeah, something that is just readily available, right? That's the phenomenon of cooking that we actually, this is getting way too into this, but I should just leave that out. But when you cook your food, you partially digest it, but we don't have the length of gut to actually deal with raw food. And so you're actually probably fairly heavily malnutritioned if you are eating a raw food diet, because you don't have the guts for it. You literally you don't have the guts for it. Yeah, you don't have the guts for it. Okay, so what are some solutions? Like, what should we do? So calorie counting is an option, but it's extremely labor intensive, it's tedious, it's annoying, and it's off by 20%. What are some other options that we can use?
Well, you can go by portion size, and then most importantly, just listen to your body.
Yeah.
So if you are the type of eater that you just scarf down your food, like you're gonna eat more calories than what you need.
I don't know anybody like that. What are you talking about?
Oh, please.
Not a moderator. There's no like shut off. It's not like, oh, I feel hungry, I should stop. It's like, no, there's food. Why wouldn't I just continue to eat it?
Oh man, it's gone.
Oops,
sorry.
Rach, on the other hand, she like eats half a cookie and she hands it to me. She's like, I'm good. I'm satisfied. I'm like, what?
I don't understand.
What does that mean? Okay, so portion size is a thing. Something as simple as when the waiter comes to your table to take your order, you can tell them, hey, can you put half of my meal in a box to go and only bring me half of the meal when I sit down? Or you can do, one of my favorites is that when you're cooking a meal, that when you're done, you plate your food and you set that on the table and you go back and you put everything in the fridge so that you don't have the ability, you have more obstacles in the way of going back and getting seconds. Just portion control, shrinking it down. Do you have any others?
Or what you can do, it's going to be really hard to eat too many fruits and vegetables.
True. Indeed,
So
indeed.
if you fill up on those first, then when you go to have your pasta or your dessert or something like that, then you're already full.
And what about this? I forgot to mention this. Like, what about, is there calories in this? Because there's actually studies on if you drink 2 cups of water before you actually go into a meal, how much calories do you tend to ingest?
Oh, well, it'll be less because you think about it. Well, the way digestion works is you're eating your food and it goes down your esophagus into your stomach, and then the way your body knows that you're full is your stomach sends a signal to your brain. If your stomach's already expanded and it's full, then you're gonna be like, oh, stop.
How about that?
Would you look at that?
All right, so we've got some options for portion size. What about what are some other ways we do it? What about food? And then we just got into food type. What are some other types of food that we can eat that would naturally just satiate us faster and be higher in micronutrients and be higher in fiber that we're not going to end up digesting and turning into energy, so we can't even and our body is going to use some of the calories just to break it down. What are some other foods that we can eat?
Well, you generally want to focus on eating whole foods. So
what constitutes a whole food?
So food. True.
Yeah.
So a whole food would be something that you cook. So like if you go and get the frozen meal or like the Twinkie or like the white bread, something that's really processed and that has a shelf life of like, you can eat this in 3 years.
And it'll be just as good.
And it'll be delicious. Not so much. So like fresh as you can get it, fish or chicken or grass-fed beef. Like eating those types of food. I don't know.
Grass-fed beef.
Hey. But stuff like that.
What about like fish sticks? Is that processed or is that a whole food?
There's obviously better choices. But
what about an easier one? What about like Hot Pockets? And what if it's the lean, healthy Hot Pocket? Should I be scarfing these down every meal?
What do you think? It will be just fine in like 3 months too.
Yeah, and then there is a certain amount of that. I don't want to put too much judgment on it because there is a certain time frame for certain people that could benefit from using pre-cooked meals because it's portioned out already. It's somewhat has some variability in it. You can keep them in the freezer for when you're in a bind and you need to throw something in the microwave so you just have something to eat. So you make that, it's a lesser of the worse choice than being like, I'm gonna stop at a gas station and pick up a hot dog and a pizza,
Right. If you think of food as like quality of food, so there's not like good food and bad food, because the last thing you want is you don't want to start thinking like, oh, I ate this bad food, so therefore I'm bad. Like, why victimize yourself? There's always just a quality. There's always just a little bit of a better option. So if you do go to McDonald's, you can either eat 5 Big Macs or you can get their salad.
Does anybody eat 5 Big Macs when they go to McDonald's?
Are you judging?
No, I mean, you eat 5 Big Macs, I'm about as live and let live as it gets. So it's your go, man.
I think I can do 1, and then I'm done.
I don't remember the last time I had a Big Mac. It's been a long time, but okay. So what about protein? Is that a food type that is going to satiate us? And
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Yes.
It takes a lot for your body to digest proteins because it's more complex.
Yeah.
So if you go down to the molecular level, then it's more complex than carbs.
Yeah. Well, like just in general, fat and protein are going to be your much more stable macronutrients than carbohydrates. If you think of fat and protein as more of like a coal source of heat, and carbohydrates as more of a gasoline source of heat. Gasoline definitely has its place, so does coal, right?
Right.
That's not me trying to say that everybody should be on a keto diet or anything like that, so don't misplace it, but
well, carbs have their place.
Exactly.
Like, there's a study done, like people that just had protein and fat when they tried to build muscle versus people who had protein, carbs, and fat. And people that had like a mixture, they were able to build more muscle up because they are important to build muscle. Like,
that's the interesting thing that we found from the keto, from the number of people. Like, keto's been around for a long time, but the number of people that ended up doing keto, what we ended up finding was a lot of research was in a caloric deficit, people lost more muscle than when carbs were present, and in a caloric surplus, people gained more fat or gained more muscle when carbs were present. So there's something to this carbohydrate game that we did not give credit to. And so I don't know if you want to cut it all out, but that's not, everybody's just a little bit different. It needs to be individualized for you.
It's just easier to overeat on carbs. Like, how many times have you had like
totally.
just one chip? Never. Well, maybe Rachel, but
one Oreo.
One Oreo, no.
But with that said, fat and protein are your only essential macronutrients. You have to have those or you will die. Your body can produce its own glycogen, so carbs are not essential macronutrients. So it definitely depends on the person. So we've got food type, we've got portion size, we've got counting calories. These are all under the guise of, or under the topic of calories. So all of these are viable options at Grit. I think for the most part, probably over 90% of the people that we work with, we start with food type as the I don't know, the first exercise in getting to where we want to go. Because if we don't have food type down, what's the point of going on to the others? You know, if we're just assigning the peanut butter cup diet, we're not actually learning anything. We're just making a huge change and hoping for the best. Doesn't do much.
Right. Well, just to summarize, counting calories. You can do it if you want, but it's going to be a pain in your ass.
Truly.
And then,
have you ever done it? Have you ever like counted calories for like a couple weeks?
When I was in school for my nutrition class, both of them, they had us do projects where we had to count calories. And you would eat an apple, and then you would have to freaking go in and try to find the brand of apple, and then like you don't think of it. Then you cook a meal, so you cook spaghetti, right? And then you have to find the calories for the noodles, for the sauce, for mushrooms.
It almost encourages eting processed food so that you can just scan the barcode with your phone instead of actually doing the work, because you end up the other way around is that you have to weigh all your food. It's really tedious, and you're bound to be off. But yeah, I remember doing that too, and it was just like, this is ridiculous. But all right, so we've got counting calories. It is an option.
Yeah, it is an option, but you don't have to do it.
And it is going to work if you do it right. But
there are better methods to get more bang for your buck. So portion control, so eating more fruits, veggies, protein, fat is going to keep you feeling fuller for longer. And then, I guess, what type of food?
Food type, yeah.
That was in there too.
Yeah, focusing on fruits, vegetables, proteins, good fats, that kind of thing is going to be a big benefit.
Yep. And then slow down your eating. Don't scarf it.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that in one of our next videos. But being extremely present with your food.
Right, and water. It's good for you.
Truly.
It helps a lot. Makes you feel better.
All right. If you guys have questions, please comment down below. Otherwise, this is our talk on calories. Thanks.
Adios.